Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to show you how you can use GIMP's tools for color correction or color adjusting. And to do that I'm going to use an image. Let me find an image here on my machine. I should have selected one beforehand, but we'll use something very vibrant. And I'm going to just bring this in. This is an image that actually this would be a good one to use for this. So we're going to bring this in, and now to adjust colors in GIMP, you can do it a number of ways. You can focus in on a certain area and just adjust that one color, or you can use some of the tools to operate on the entire image. And so I'll show you how to adjust. Let's say that we like the way these colors look, we just wish they were different colors, and we like how everything is colored in relation to the other colors, but we just wish they were that the focal point wasn't orange. Let's say we wanted the focal point to be blue, or actually, since there's not very much green in it, let's do green. Let's make this middle flower green instead of orange, and we're going to shift all of the colors to a different location basically. And to do that, we're going to come up here to the colors menu, and we're going to do the hue and saturation. And when you click that, you get this dialog. And you'll see here that we have these swatches, and they're kind of in a circle, and in the middle we have master. Now if you point to master, notice what it says. It says adjust all colors, and that's what we're going to do here at the beginning of this. We're going to adjust every color, every pixel in the image. We're going to shift its color from where it is now to a different place on the spectrum. And to do that, we just need to leave the master selected. So watch what happens when we shift this hue. See how all of what was orange is being shifted to a different color, and every other color is being shifted to a different setting. So there's the blue. And if we go all the way to the other end, well, not all the way, but towards the other end, we can make that flower, that focal point, green. And so it shifts everything in the image. It shifts it from the color it was to a different color on the spectrum. You can see the green is now blue, right? And can't remember what all these colors were. I think this might have been yellow up here. I could be wrong, but actually it wasn't yellow. So orange is here. It might have been a variation of orange. At any rate, you get the idea. You adjust this until you see till it looks like you want it to look. You get that focal point in the hue that you want it, and then you can make some other adjustments by selecting or moving the lightness. Maybe you want it to be a little more vivid, so you take that down. You don't want it to be as washed out. You can ramp up the saturation, but it does it on the entire image. That's the idea that I want you to take away from this part of the video. It's doing it on every color in the image. So everything is being adjusted in unison. Okay, so if you wanted to keep that, you could lock it in, click OK, and lock it in, but I'm not going to. Oh, it was blue. The blue's up there, green's down here. So, and then purple. So basically we just rotated we rotated all these colors clockwise the way they look in this image. So that's basically an easy way to adjust all of the colors in the image at once. But what if you want to just adjust one color? Let's say, I don't know, let's say this middle part right here, we want it to be a different color than the orange. Let's say we want it to be this purple down here. Well, you can do that too. Just like we just did, you can adjust a portion of the image the exact same way. All you have to do is select the area of the image that you want to adjust. And I think a good way to do that, this is not a perfect circle, so I was tempted to use the ellipse tool, and I still might. Let's start with a circle. If you want to click and drag, and as you're dragging, hold down Control and Shift, it will make a perfect circle. And I'm going to drag that out to where it's almost the same size. I'm going to get as much of that on the part that we want to work on as possible. I think that's probably going to be the best right there. But now that we have that selection, I want to come up here and get the free select tool by clicking the lasso and then selecting free select. And then I'm going to come down here, I'm going to zoom in real close, and I'm going to hold down the shift key the first time that I click. And what that does is it turns my tool into an addition tool. See the little plus by my crosshairs? What that means is we're going to add to the selection that we've already made. So hold down shift and click there, and then now all we got to do is just fill in the part that's not selected that we want to be selected. We want to add this to the selection. Now we could have, and I almost did, we could have just done the whole thing like this and just clicked around this border edge, but I wanted to, I've done this in a previous video, but I just want to reiterate how you can add selections to other selections. So now when we close this off, you're going to see this border right here that's selected is going to move. It's going to move out to the line we just made. And then you can hit enter to lock that in. I'm going to hold down the space bar and drag up here so that I can add some more to this. And I'm going to hold down shift when I click the first time over here. And then I'm going to just work my way around this outer line. And like I said, you could have just used the free select tool to do the whole circle at once, like I'm going to do right now, just to speed up the video. Otherwise I'd have to add this too. But because we're adding, it's not really that, you can add as much or as little as you want. So I'm going to add all of this at once. And now we have our target area selected. So now what we've told GIMP is, hey, anything we do from this point on, I want it to only apply inside this selection. Now what that means is we can adjust the color. We can adjust the color of just this orange, and it won't affect any of this other orange. So we could turn this purple like we said, just by coming up here to colors, Hue-saturation, and then we can adjust that hue. Let's see, we got to go this direction, I believe. Nope, it's over here. So we can adjust just that part to whatever color, and if we zoom out by holding Control and using our scroll wheel on the mouse, we can see this purple, and we just adjust this until it's a similar color, depending on how much of it you want to be that color or not. And then if we want to lock that in, we could click OK. So I click OK, it's locked in. Now if I hit Control-Shift-A, we've just changed that one part of the image to match another color in the same image. Now, what if, let's say we wanted to change all of the green in the entire image to a different color to get rid of the green. Let's say we want to get rid of this green down here, and maybe we want it to be red like up here in the opposite corner. Is there a way that we could do that? Well, yeah, you could either go through all the trouble of selecting all of it and turning it into its own selection, or you could just get rid of all the green in the image all at once. And we've already seen the two different ways to do that. However, in the first part of this video, when I showed you how to adjust all of the colors at once, there's another feature that you can use that will allow you to isolate just one color. And that's what I'm going to show you now. So if you go back to the colors, make sure all of your selections are gone. You don't want to have anything selected on the image. You want the whole image exposed to this operation. So we're going to come up to colors and go to Hue-saturation. And now what we're going to do is, instead of adjusting everything by using the master, we're going to isolate just the green by selecting that. By clicking on the green, you're telling GIMP, hey, I only want to affect the green part of this image. And now when we do this same slide of the hue, watch down here where the greens are. Watch what happens to them. See how they're changing colors? And that's about the same color right there. I'm zoomed in too far, but you can see that this color of red up here is about the same as what we just changed this to down here. So now they're matching a little better. Now this green didn't get changed, and the reason why is because actually, if we take this back over, let's zoom in and watch this real close, see if it does change. It's not changing at all. And the reason why is because it's not really green, it's cyan. This was at -114, so I'm going to put that back so that we get a match on the reds. And you can see there's yellow down here that we still need to work on, but we're going to do that isolated. But first we want to get rid of this greenish color here, and I think that's in the cyan part. And you can see here that where we adjusted, this is the green channel, and it's telling us, hey, you've made this red. And that's exactly what we wanted. We wanted to make the greens red. So we've made the greens red, and we can probably even go a little bit more red. All I'm doing is matching this red up with that. And I liked it better the way it was, so I'm going to put that back to 114. I like it that way. It looks like it matches better. So let's see if we can tackle this part with the cyan channel, or the cyan color. Looks like it's going to work. See how it's going from cyan to green, and now it's going to go travel over into the red. However, we've reached the end of this slider, which means we got to go to the opposite end of the slider and keep going. Now see, we could make that purple. The thing about it is, I just now noticed it, you probably noticed it earlier, but we're changing the blue, because the blue up at the top has some cyan in it as well. See how that's changing up here? When I slide this, it changes that at the top. It changes all the cyan inside the blue, changes it to a different color. So we're going to have to do that with a selection as well. So let's change that to 0 and leave this the color that it is. But that's pretty much what we wanted to do. We wanted to get rid of this green. We still got some yellow here we've got to correct, and we've got some cyan. Actually, this whole area down here is kind of a cyan color, but we want to isolate it from the blue because blue also has cyan in it. So what we're going to do is we're going to lock this in and not do any more adjustments on the whole thing. We've gotten rid of all the greens that we can here. So now what we want to do is we want to make a selection down here. And it doesn't have to be, because of the way the image is, it doesn't have to be a real tedious, fine-tuned selection. All we need to do, now maybe right here we want to make sure that's fine-tuned, but the rest of it we can just kind of enclose in the selection. It doesn't have to be a perfect one. So I'm going to come up here to the free select tool. I'm going to zoom in right here, and I'm going to just click along this edge, and I'm going to select everything, and you can hold down your space bar to move your image around while you're making this selection, like I'm doing here. And I think this is pretty much going to be the only part. There's still some green in here that did not get caught by the, alright, so by the last edit that we did, I don't know, I'm just gonna use the free select tool to go around the outside, because now I'm seeing some pixels that I didn't see before that are kind of green. And because yellow is a component of green, when we change the yellow, it's going to change these green ones too. And it's probably going to help us to not have to go back and do them later if we do them now. So basically I'm just going to continue making this selection until I get, oh, there we go, we've reached the end of that one. So now we can come all the way over here. This free select tool is really a nice tool because it helps you to accurately select very complex, oddly shaped areas, and it allows you to do it with a pretty good amount of detail. And with this one, with this image, it really is going to work well because there's such a wide line that we're tracing, and because we're performing a color operation, a color adjustment operation on these pixels, it's not really going to make a drastic change. It's just going to get rid of that yellow. So we have this odd shaped selection, and we're going to target all of the yellow inside of it. So we're going to go right back up here to the colors, Hue-saturation, and get our box up here. And see, our greens now have been reset because we locked in all the greens that were there before. We changed them to red and locked them in. So now they're part of this. They're part of this, or maybe the magenta. They're part of one of these two color maps. So we're going to, we could adjust the green. There's a little bit of green left, but let's see if we can get it with the yellow by selecting yellow. I'm going to zoom in here real close get this up out of the way here. I'm going to zoom in real close where I have some yellow and I have some green over here. And let's just slide this hue over until this yellow begins to match the red that's around it. And it's interesting because it just fades away. When you get it right on the money, it's completely gone. You see there's still some stray pixels, right? And the green wasn't touched at all. So let's see if we can change the green and get those. Yeah, those pixels apparently were green and they didn't get caught before, but they're going away now. So you just zoom in here and adjust this until those pixels are gone, and now they're gone. And we've changed some of these in the process. I don't know why they look green, but they're not. They look green, but they're not going away. Maybe because there's other colors mixed in. What about blue? They're not blue. I don't know what color they could be. Maybe they're cyan. Yeah, they were cyan. They just didn't get picked up when we adjusted the cyan. So you see how I'm just changing them to where they're brown. They're matching the brown that's around them. And now we've got some purple, which is a combination of blue and magenta. So let's try the magenta. See if we can have an effect on them. That's not really changing them at all. What about blue? Blue's not changing them either. So we may have to lock that in and make another iteration. But overall, you can see that it's looking a lot better. Our reds, and we still got to get rid of all this cyan over here. And let's do that right now. Let's lock this in. I'm going to go back to magenta and change that to 0. And then lock this in. So now it's locked in. We can do Control Shift A, and that will unselect everything. But just in case we want to try to come back and get those random pixels that are down here that are purple, I'm going to save this selection to a channel. So go up to the Select menu and then save it to a channel, and that puts it over here in our Channels tab. And now I can delete this and I won't have to reselect it later. So Control A or Control Shift A, and now we can move over here to this other part of the image. And I think I want to start up here with the Free Select tool. Start right up here and come all the way down to this corner, and then I want to zoom in on this. I'm just going to see how fast I can get through this, because I know it's tedious watching someone go through and click. On stuff, but I don't want to try to pause the video, because with this tool selected, the selection tool that we're using right now, it's kind of awkward trying to move my cursor out of GIMP and over onto the desktop to pause the video screen capturing software. So you don't really have to be, the Free Select tool is nice because you don't really have to be exactly, you just have to get a really good GIMP just has to know just about where that line of demarcation is, and it will figure out, let's see what else. Oh, we got to go around this. I don't want to affect this part of the image because it's got some red in it, and I don't want to select it with the other because I'll be shifting the red. Well, I wouldn't necessarily if we only have to operate on the cyan or maybe some of the green. This has got green in it too, but for some reason it had enough cyan that the green channel wasn't picking it up when we made the adjustment before. So now clearly if I was doing this for something that was going to be for a customer, I would take more time on this, but this is just to show you the concept. So this looks like it's the last little leg. Well, we got two little parts left. And I want to get those. They look like they got some green in them. Or cyan. One of those two. Might be a little bit of both. Alright, so we have our other selection. This is our target area. Now let's see what happens. Let's see what happens when we target the cyan, all the cyan color. Where is my, oh, okay, so I have a selection, but because I don't have a layer selected, notice you can't choose Hue-saturation because it doesn't know what pixels you want to, or what layer you want to target. So we need to come over here and select a layer and then come up here to colors, Hue-saturation. Alright, so now for the moment of truth, I guess, as the saying goes. Cyan. Yep, we can shift it. It's a really dark red, but I don't want it to be that dark of red. I want it to be, in fact, maybe purple might be better. Does that balance it out a little bit? I think red might. If I can hit this dark red, that might be better. And we really can't hit that nice bright red. It's too dark. So maybe purple might be that purple color might be the best option. However, that was cyan before. So I wonder what, yeah, it goes to blue from that end. Here, I see you can, I'm gonna try something. I don't think I've ever tried this before. But I'm gonna try to set this to a bright yellow. Let's see what we're, yeah, there's some green pixels in there. If I put this back to 0, yeah, are they green? They're changing. All of the pixels are changing. So they shift really hard right there. I want to set this to yellow and lock it in. So now we have this bright, odd looking yellow part. But now I want to turn right back around and open that again. And now that they're yellow, only inside the selection, let's see if we can get them to that red. See if we can shift that to a better version of red. It's pretty much the same. However, what you can do is if you can just tinker with the lightness. See how the lightness kind of changes the feel of it to match this up here. That's what I'm going for. And now we can just save that and lock it in. And again, if we wanted to, I'm not going to. I was debating on whether or not to do it. But you get the idea. We've got this image, which actually was, let's look at the original here. So this is the original. This is what we had before. And we've turned it into this basically. We've gone from this to this just by adding, we've got rid of the green and we changed up. There was a lot of orange in the middle. So we just kind of changed that a little bit. Other than that though, the rest of the image is exactly the same. And that's because we basically isolated some parts of the image and then was able to use the hue and saturation tools to shift the colors of the pixels within that area. But we also we shifted all of the colors in the image all at once. Although we didn't lock those in, I showed you how you could do it. But then, so that's really the technique. You can go in and isolate certain parts of the image and then just shift the colors around until they become the color that you want them to be, and you don't lose the shading, you don't lose the gradients. You see this gradient right here on the middle of this is the same here in the color of yellowish orange as it is in this purple. You didn't lose the shading, all you did was shift the colors. So that's a technique that you might find handy if you're retouching a photo. Maybe you've got some and there is one thing that I did not show you that maybe I should take some time to show you here. I think I can probably show you the idea without taking too much time up. We're at about a half hour, 33 minutes right now. But I'm just going to show you this briefly on a little piece. Let's see how some of the parts of this image don't have any color in them at all. Well, let's say we wanted to add that same feature up here at the top somewhere. Okay, so let's say we wanted to make this little chunk right here not have any color. Well, we can do that with that same tool. I'm going to zoom in here and I'm going to make a quick selection of this purple, this little purplish colored chunk. So we added some purple to the middle and we're going to take some purple away from the outside. Just again using the free select tool to get a nice little isolated part of the image. I want to leave the end of this part down here red. It's kind of a reddish purple, but and I'm going to come out here so that I get these pixels that kind of have a purple tint to them. Okay, so there's the part that we want to wash out. We basically want to remove all the color data and keep the shading, the gray shading. That's easily done with the same tool we've been using, the hue and saturation tool. And really, you probably have already guessed, all you got to do is desaturate that part and it takes away all the color. And if you take the lightness up, it will lighten it a little bit. You can lighten it to whatever you want it to be. And the hue is not going to affect anything because now we're working in grayscale. So if I click OK, Control Shift A, now what we've done is we've removed some color altogether from this part. Now granted, it doesn't look exactly the same as the others, but it could. I'll show you on this little circle right here. Let's say we wanted to make this look white. We could just isolate this part. Actually, let me do a little better job on this. We don't want to isolate the circle. We want to isolate just the lighter pixels inside of it. And this, if I would have done it this way in the previous step, which would have taken a lot longer, it would have looked better. But I'm going to show you the idea here. The idea is select only the pixels that are not only the lightest pixels, right? So now we have this part, and if we go back into the colors, hue saturation, and then we take the lightness up on just that part, and then lock it in and click, and then deselect it, you get the idea, right? You can, if we would have started doing it this way in the last step, we could actually wash some of it all the way out to closer to white, like this part is, and we could have left some of it gray like it all is right now. But that's the idea, that's the concept. You can wash out part of an image or remove the color data from a whole section or little chunks, and you can make it match parts of the image that don't have any color at all. So that's going to wrap this up. We're at about 38 minutes now, and I'm going to call this one done. And thank you for watching, and I hope you found something valuable. That's how you use GIMP to adjust the colors in an image.